Hello and good afternoon to everyone. My name is Eric Levels, and I am the Director of Digital Learning for Aldine ISD. And let me tell you, this is last but definitely not least with regards to our sessions. I'm really excited. I've been hanging with Mr. Ruyle today. Tashika and I both have, and we've learned a lot. And so let me get to introducing the man of the hour. So Eric Ruyle has taught music for every level, elementary through college, for over 30 years. He has given professional development sessions on technology for several districts throughout the Houston area, and he's presented at several clinics at the Texas Music Educators Association conventions, and has given TIME, that's Technology and Music Education clinics, in Texas and Ohio. Now, let me talk about some ground rules here. If you've got questions or if you've got any type of things that make you go, we want you to put those in the chat box, right? And so my co-host, Tashika McKinney, go ahead and wave. Yeah, there she goes. She's going to be monitoring that chat box, and she's going to be able to discuss at those possible moments with Mr. Ruyle those questions that you may have and that you want to get answered, because he knows what he's doing, guys. I'm going to tell you that right now. So we're privileged here in Albany. So please join me in digitally turning our focus and our attention to Eric Ruyle as he shares easy elementary music tech with all of us. Take it away, Mr. Ruyle.
Hey guys, so going through just a couple of things. Here's the QR code. If you haven't attended the previous sessions, here's the QR code for the handout. Here's also it if you don't have a QR code. It'll take you to a page that has all the handouts in case you missed something there. You can go through and do that. So you can have that. So you'll have a copy of what's going on within this. I apologize. The coughing sinuses are not being my friend today. So I go through and do this. Easy tech for the elementary teacher. Well, it's just for me, it's just the teacher. I just happen to be in elementary because, as I mentioned in the previous thing, is I started out as a professional musician, making my living performing and then doing some private teaching on some colleges and universities and private students. And I didn't have the support, the financial support of a big entity behind me. I didn't have a budget. You know, my budget is what came out of my pocket. So I was always looking for ways of making things easier within that. And that's how kind of this comes about, of things that I can make the most out of for what I'm spending, or free stuff and like that. So this isn't going to be about a bunch of apps and things like that. I'm a practical man. You can see my haircut probably. I don't spend too much money or too much time on it. That's basically the way I like to go through and do things. So let's go ahead and get started. All righty. Again, if you have any questions, please put them down, let them know. If it's something that's very pertinent right then and you feel can't wait, let them know, and they're going to jump in and stop me, and so we can get those questions cleared up right then. All right. So let's talk about spending some money. I don't like spending money, but sometimes we do. All right. So let's go through and talk about some things. First of all is using smartphones as media players. And I forgot to do this. I'm sorry. Is for what I do at school is I actually have a iPod, iTouch that I use, but you can use any media player. In fact, when my iTouch went down, I used an old cell phone. Okay. So you can download it onto the phone or SR, so you don't have to worry about excuse me, being tied to your CD player or whatever. In fact, I have all my adopted textbook on MP3s, and I have it onto my iTouch and all that, and going through and on a Sims card, so I can play everything from there. And I just create playlists, and that's what makes it license right here, is a playlist. So I just playlist by the date or the lesson is, so I can go back and look at what did I do last year around this time, and I can look at that playlist. And, oh yeah, I like that, and yeah, I remember now the kids didn't like that, and things like that. And also I have a playlist on there of like favorites. So if I've got some extra time, I can play these songs. You know, they're right there on a favorites playlist type thing that I can go through and pull it up and have it, and there it is, and it makes it really easy. I like doing that way, putting it on the phone, because some people like to use streaming. I don't like the streaming because I've been in some places where there's spotty to no Wi-Fi, and also you don't have to worry about notifications coming to the phone. In fact, one year I was at a campus that they said, you know, there's been no Wi-Fi in this section of the building for years, and we don't know why. And I go into the room and I look and there was a hub. in my ceiling. I'm thinking, well, there's a hub. Why is there no Wi-Fi? So I call in maintenance. They come in, and turns out it was not plugged in. It had, the power cord was not plugged into the thing. So as soon as they plugged it in, they had Wi-Fi. Some people, like I said, like to put all their music in Dropbox and things like that. But you know how it goes when the Wi-Fi goes down. You're just sitting there twiddling your thumbs. In fact, it was a fun day when we were all virtual. I had no campus kids this year, and our internet went down. Yeah, everybody's twiddling their thumbs at that point. All right, so moving on. So you can use an old phone to do that. With that, then you just carry it around. I do the same thing for my programs that I do with the kids. I have it all on there, so there it is. I can just pull it up, boom, 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 have it through, download it. Bluetooth, you can connect through. Obviously, Bluetooth is the big thing. If you have a stereo that doesn't have a Bluetooth, you can buy little adapters. Here's one like that. It's about 2 inches square, believe it or not, that little thing. You can buy it at a variety of them. They're about $20, and you just hook it up, and it'll receive Bluetooth, and you can plug that into your stereo or something like that. So then you can stream from your media player right to your player that doesn't have Bluetooth. You can do it that way. This one, this is a Logitech, I think, but there's a variety of them. This one will allow several inputs, Bluetooth. That means you can have more than one Bluetooth device connected to it, which is not always happening. So that's advantage of some of these type things. If you have a computer that doesn't have Bluetooth, guess what? You can buy adapters for that too, for about 10, $15, these little dongles. You plug it into your USB slot, and now your computer will have Bluetooth. And I had to do that 1 year. Again, the same place that had the bad Wi-Fi is I had an old desktop that didn't have Bluetooth, and I had a thing that didn't have Bluetooth over there, and I wanted to run things from my computer because we were doing some Quaver stuff. So hook that up to the stereo, hook that up to the computer, and boom, there we're going through. If you have an old sound system, and I've just got one of these, I'm excited to use it. And in fact, I'm going to have to start using it. This is a little thing that'll plug into the XLR, the microphone jacks on your speakers, or your powered speakers, or your mixer, things like that. That'll receive Bluetooth that way. So that way you can have it in there. It'll do it. This will broadcast in stereo. So if you have uh, excuse me, if you hook these up to two different inputs or two different speakers, it'll do it as stereo. One of these will be left, the other one will be right. Or you can have your device send in mono, and that'll do it. But I'm going to have to use that, and I'll explain that one in exactly why I'm going to have to use that one now in our thing. Then, of course, the simple thing is HDMI cables. I used to have VGA cables, but there's no VGA cables anymore. HDMI, and you're probably wondering why you're still thinking about the cables when we have all this Bluetooth technology. Well, excuse me. As I mentioned up here, some devices have a limit on how many Bluetooth connections they can make, how many things can be paired and connected at the same time. And I've encountered that this year is at my campus and in my district, people have Promethean boards. Pretty cool. And I'm on a cart. I'm going class to class. And I have an speaker that I'll talk about in a second that has Bluetooth. So I can hook up the speaker to the Promethean board, and it'll come and play through my speakers. So it'll be louder. The problem is that I've noticed is that since we've had such a situation, teachers, don't want to be moving around as much. They've started getting Bluetooth keyboards and stuff like that and hooking it up to the Promethean board. Well, that's caused a problem for me, because then there's no way for me to pair up my speaker to the Promethean board. So what I've had to do is use a Chromebook to display all my stuff, and then use a 25-foot. I bought a 25-foot HDMI cable, so out of my little laptop or Chromebook into the Promethean board, and I do it that way. So that kind of works. So even though we have this age of doing it, we still go through and sometimes the corded isn't best. In fact, right now you don't realize it, but I'm using a trackball, that is plugged into. It's wired. It's plugged into the thing. I'm not. You can buy in Bluetooth and all that, but I don't want to have to deal with batteries. I'm a simple guy. I forget things. Moving on. Big money. Big money. Speakers. I've seen some people have those little personal speakers that you can buy. I don't think they generated good enough sound. Plus, Man, sinuses. The bass response is very bad. I've noticed that sometimes some of the songs they have neat stuff going down on the low. You can't hear them on those personal speakers. Get something kids so your kids can really hear. You can buy like these personal monitors like this Behringer Euro Live or the Mackie Free Play. Um, these are two they're called. Sometimes they're called personal monitors or personal PA systems, things like that. I've used both. I like it. The Mackie has the new versions now have a battery built in, so you can have the battery charged and you can go without being plugged in. They also have this on various levels. They have was it the Go, Home, and Live, and each one has a certain amount of wattage that it'll do. The I try to get the big one, which is I think it's called the Live, 150 watts, which is more than enough for a auditorium. So doing it that way. That's the same thing. This one right here is uh, would do 150 watts, and you can both of them plug two microphones in. You can plug in an auxiliary thing. This one will take a Bluetooth, but it only takes one Bluetooth. So I got crazy things that going on because I'm hooking this kind of to the Promethean board, but I still need my get my media device in it, and it can't use the Bluetooth because of the plug and all that. So that's why I'm going to be plugging this in to get this for my media device, and then plugged in the Promethean board into this to get this going. So these are kind of expensive. This is, don't quote me, but I want to say 250 the last I bought. I just purchased one of these a couple of years ago. I think it was about $400 for the big top end. But again, this is a portable PA. Where do you get the money for that? Well, for these, donors choose, sponsored, boosters. For these on the campuses that I bought these with, I always use school budget. Because I said multi-use for faculty meetings. You know how they're always looking for, well, we want to play sound from our laptop, but we can't do it. It's really hard. Just go up to them and say, hey, you know what? There's this little portable thing we can do. Just a simple little cord out of your headphone jack into this thing right here, and we can use it for faculty meetings and everybody can hear and you can do music and we can also plug the microphone in so we can go wherever you want. Why don't you go ahead and buy that? And I'll tell you what, I'll hold that on for you. I'll hold that in my classroom for you so you don't lose it. So I've done that and that's a really nice thing to do. One place I was at, yeah, I've traveled a lot, is that didn't have anything at first. I bought a little keyboard speaker off of the Facebook Marketplace for like $40. Like a bass amp type thing, but it's for keyboards. $40, and that's what I use. I plugged everything into that, and that works. So if you need something on that way, there you go. Because you want the kids to be able to hear good sound quality. That's the important thing. Bad in the box. There's a little bit about it. I just got through doing the thing. It says 130. I think it's a little bit more about it. I think it said 150. I forgot to update this. If you went to that, I'm sorry about the sound problems and all that, but this will give you a little bit overview with it. Great program. I cannot say enough about it. It's an absolute amazing thing. Moving on. There's a picture of it. So this is a picture of the old one, 2007. And if you were last one, you got to see the neat things and upgrades they had in the 220. So it's an amazing little program. Free. Yeah, baby. Free. Free. Now, I mentioned this in the first clinic, but I cannot gush about these enough here, is these two sites here. The music lab has 14 little ways of the kids to go through and do. All you need is just to go on the thing. There is no, you just take this in, put that in your search bar and put it like that. It'll automatically come up. There is no HTTPS and all that. Neat stuff within that. But the thing I found a little bit longer ago, that absolutely amazes me is this keyboard thing down here on this one. Is you can set it up for 5-note, 8-note, chromatic, change the key it's in, so you can put like a little pentatonic in there of start an F pentatonic, and you have the F, just those things. The kids click on it and they can change the sounds a little. But the thing about it that amazes me is this right here. You can either do it with a mouse or you can type in your keys on your keyboard and do it. But using your camera, that camera right there, it will track your face. And according, so it lines up to your nose, looks your nose, and you go around and you do this, and it'll hit the keys. Absolutely amazing. I know I'm going to be using that with my kids. I'm currently on an EC campus, right, which means kindergarten and pre-K and some preschool. I'll be doing some of this in the springtime with my kids, even if we're virtually. That'll be great for them virtually, or if we're all together, I can make a little workbook station within that. But have them go through and use that little keyboard, and they can do it with their mouse, with their nose, and things like that. That's especially good for those that are physically challenged, that can't hold on to things and stuff like that, or that are a little mentally challenged, that have little problems. They can easily react that way. They don't need to do a lot of things. They'll just the fact that they're moving, that'll create a lot of fun. Because I've had to work with a lot of sped kids in the past, and I wish I'd learned this about this a lot sooner. So that's a great thing. I cannot enough about it. I'm going to be going. When I found that, I was just hours playing with the keyboard. Okay, whiteboards. Believe it or not, many people are going away from smart boards because the smart board is no longer being supported. From what I understand, there are Promethean boards, but not everybody have them. In fact, for most of my career, I have not had any interactive whiteboards. I always had to come up with something. And one thing that's very nice is the Google Remote Desktop. This is a free program, and you download the program onto your computer, and then you can use a tablet, iPad, phone, whatever. It doesn't matter as long as you can get the Chrome on there. You can use it. You get the little app to it, and you can control your desktop from your device. There used to be a device called the not the emo. I can't remember what it's called now. I'm sorry, I brought it up. They used to be able to walk around. It was almost like a portable mouse. Well, this is the same thing, except you can control your whole screen, so you can run all this. So what I used to do is I would project this up on my whiteboard, and I had a little tablet that I walked around, and I would control my computer at my desk, which was actually being projected up on the whiteboard. I know a lot of things there. And I would walk around with this tablet controlling my computer, so I didn't have to be at my desk. So I could do that proximity thing with the kids. The kids that were acting out, I can control my desktop and walk over and stand next to them. So then we're doing that proximity to help classroom management without going through. And if we didn't have a whiteboard, I'd sometimes let the kids go up and do that, and they'd be almost like they're being interactive when we didn't even have anything. It's still kind of nice if you don't have an interactive whiteboard, to go ahead and do that. Is you can control the computer, a different computer from your device. Again, it could be an iPad, because I've used iPad. You just download it and all that because you can get the Chrome. The reason I'm saying control, because there's another thing here that is quite, I found out recently, is called the cast for Chrome, which is not to be confused with Chromecast. Chromecast is a little device you plug into your TV, which you can go through and transfer stuff from your phone or your device to your TV and have it shown up like that. This is a very similar thing, but it works for computers this way. So what I can do is I can send my screen from my device to another device. The thing is, they both have to be on Wi-Fi. They both have to be on the same network. So if one of them, for example, if your desktop's plugged in, you can't do it on the desktop. How do I get this one? The nice thing about this one, you already have it. Okay. And what it is you go through is on your Chrome. Both of them will have to have Chrome. You go to your Chrome, and up there's three little dots up there. When you go into your Google screen, I just kind of clipped it half the screen. You can see my little thing. Yay. There's three little dots. You press that three little dots, and this drops down. And some of you guys are familiar with it. New tab, new window, new incognito, and all that. But you come down, and there's cast. And I never knew what that was, and I've investigated. Click that button right there, and this menu comes up. And this is the available devices. And these are Promethean boards that were around me. So they're all on the same Wi-Fi. And you can either cast the tab, you can cast the desktop, or you can cast the thing. It's much like a screen sharing. Basically, that's what it is, without using special screen sharing software. This is already built into Google, which is really nice. In fact, sometimes I've been doing that recently, because I've been on a cart, having to go room to room. And we have one room that has like 20 kids, and I could not even get into the room. I could walk into the room, and that was it. I couldn't move out because the desks were all over the place yesterday. So I literally just came in with my cart. I Googled Cast to the Promethean board, and I was in the doorway running everything from my Chromebook. I have projected everything up there. I didn't even have to plug anything in. That was a beautiful thing, going through. So, what I do notice when I'm doing that, when I go from room to room, I have to kind of refresh this screen here by kind of powering it down and coming back on type thing, let it go to sleep, come back. So it refreshes the list into the next room. Sometimes it does not always work. There's sometimes I've gone into a room and it says it's unsupported for some reason, because the previous time it did work, but now it didn't. So Google Cast will Cast for Chrome will send your screen as opposed to control your screen. This one, Google Remote Desk, will control the computer from a different place. This will send your screen. So those are two little things to keep in mind. In fact, I will probably try to still use the Google Remote Desk, even though I have a Promethean board, because once I'll get our tech people hook that up, so then I can still walk around the room again with an iPad or a Chromebook and control what's happening up there, and still do that proximity thing to help my challenging kids, shall we say, or active ones, or squirrels, or so on, that need a little help, personal attention. Audacity. Oh my gosh. Around for years. I would not survive without this program. Free. In fact, some districts I know of that had it already installed on the computer. Just have them go through. If they installed it on your computer, just make sure they download the LAME file, LAME, and the FFmpeg files. There should be links on the page to the Audacity to do that. Because Audacity technically does not have the permission to create MP3s, but when you get the LAME file, it will create the MP3s. They're kind of going around that license by doing it that way. The FFmpeg will let you save it and access MP4s and stuff like that, because that's the M4As. That's the big important thing nowadays that you see people using. So that's why if you want to access. Here's a screenshot of me doing using Audacity of teaching. Excuse me. What am I teaching? I'm teaching around. That's right, teaching around, or a canon. So is that and what I would do is this is me singing "Row, row, row your boat." I copied it and I moved it, and so then the kids could visually see. Look, and I'd play each one of these separately, mute it and play it separately, so they can hear it's the exact same thing, but they can tell it starts at a different time. Plus, they can visually see that it's starts and ends at a different time. And when I started using that with my kids, they started getting it. It's like, oh, it is the different thing, but it's just starting at different times. So it's a visual thing to help them out. And excuse me, by projecting that up there, you're also clicking into the science, because you're showing them the waves and all that. And that's good cross-curricular teaching and things like that, that everybody likes within that. I've used it also within this. This is great for shortening songs. You can chop it, shorten it down, very much like video that we've had to work on recently and stuff like that. But you can create a song shorter. If you have a song that the song is shorter is important for us. For example, Texas Our Texas, our state song. Our fourth graders are required to learn this. There's 3 or 4 verses to the song, and generally the textbook adoptions that we have all the verses in there, but we're only required to learn one. So instead of having the kids go listen through all the other ones, I just chopped it off. I went through and I cut out the section of all the other verses and slid the ending over, so it had the beginning, the part they're singing, and then the end. So you can make songs shorter. If you have a song that has an unfortunate word in there, you can just dim down the volume right at that point. Or if you have a little bleep, you can add it in there. Do it that way. Ceremony surgeons, ceremony, graduation ceremony. Pomp the circumstance. You don't have one long enough? Copy and copy and copy and copy and copy and paste, and just you can make it as long as you want. So there you go. So then you get, you have one that's only 2 minutes, but you need it 11 minutes long. You just copy and paste, cut the ending, slide it over, paste, 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 boom. Create your own medley. I've done that. It's just, a couple little songs, slap them one after the other, go through, change the speed. You can, if the song's too fast, You can change it without changing the key, which is nice. Now, you cannot do it too drastic, but you can do it relatively before it starts getting some artifacts, where it starts sounding funny. And I've done that for some songs that the kids just couldn't quite get their voices out of. It's a little bit too fast for them. I pop it in here, slow it down a bit, save it, and there we go. Same thing with the key. If it's a little too high, it'll lower it without changing the speed. So you can do that. And then layering clips is I often use this for programs. Is I'll have the uh, the voice free version of the song and the one with the voices. I'll kind of mix them together, but have the voices kind of low in there, so the kids still hear somebody singing, but it's not covering them up, so they can still be heard. It's like a scratch crack track in a way for performances. So that really helps. So Audacity, I use it a lot. All right, moving on. This is important for me. Fonts. All right, free for the most part. Rhythm font, type it in. Using it just like a word processor. You just type it in, boom, it comes up like that. Uh, there are many ones that you can use. Excuse me. I like this one by the way it looks. I like the flag. I like this. Plus, this one's real easy. If you want a quarter note, you type a Q. You want a quarter rest, type in Shift Q. Want a whole note, type in a W. Want a half note, you've got it, type in an H. Going through. So that's a nice thing. And what I do is I'll, pull up a Word document, start typing in rhythms up like that and have them clap and count it. So I don't have to write them down. And the kids like it when it disappears and then it appears magically on the board. You can do multi-measures within that. You can change the color, so you can have two different ones, one on top, one on bottom. So you can have two different rhythms happening. Have one kid's, clapping green rhythm and blow it, another one clapping a red rhythm and all that. And it's very simple and it looks nice. Recorder font. I'll show you some uses of this one. Free. It has one with fingerings in it or it has one with blank. Awesome for recorders. Both of these are at henson.com.au. You go to that, you look under his free things tab, you can get that. He has a bunch of other fonts, but these are the two most that I use a lot. And wherever I go, I make sure they install those on computers. Those are absolutely necessary. Music ad font, 25 bucks. Music teacher tools. It has the Kerwin hand signs. It has the stick notation for those that are using the Kodai, excuse me, and it also has a little piano keyboard within to go through it. And I'll show you how some of the uses it. So those are wonderful things. Uh, QR codes, you know how to do it. You can hook it up to pictures, to files, things like that. Um, you can put it around the room for different topics, and you can have a question. Put up a question on the wall, and have a question. Who sang this song, or something like that, and then the answers in the QR code, and they have to use their device to do it. You can use that as an exit ticket. My gosh. One thing to look for is the one I'm using is a Google integrated QR code that I have up at the beginning at the file, is that it's dynamic. And I found out there's a dynamic and a stagnant QR codes. And the difference is a static QR code is affixed to that file, that version of that file. If you change that file, it's still going to revert to the original file. Whereas a dynamic QR code, if you change that file, that QR code will still go linked to that file, even if it's changed. So if you update the file, you can still not worry about, having to get a new QR code like you do with some other things. That's what it talks about, the dynamic QR code. So I can change this file and you'll get the updates. Whereas if you had a stagnant one, you would only get the original one and not the updates. Microsoft Publisher, dun, dun, dun. One of the programs that almost nobody uses, but is one of the most useful things that I've used for years and years and years. But even more so since we've been in the funny lockdown that we have been. Create and customize stuff. Convert pictures. This is very important, and I'll show you that in a second. Handouts, worksheets, flyers, listening maps, boom whacker materials. We'll go through and do that. And I'll show you how to work Microsoft in a second. Let me just show you some of the things we can do, because I see it's 3:30 and I want to make sure I get to your questions and going through. But Microsoft Publisher is a very important program. Most of you already have. Almost nobody uses it, and I don't understand why, because it's just super cool. So here's using the rhythm font. I just have, 1+1 within that going through. I guess I could present it now. Make it bigger for you. Simple. There's the rhythm font. This was just a regular page. Just type it in. So you can create it. You can type in different rhythms within that. I do that. That's great for making worksheets, customizing. If you're going to be out, you can customize it off for whatever you want. I'm really big on customizing things for my students because I know this year's students may not get as good uh, as far as maybe last year's or vice versa, or maybe this year's students will get farther in our rhythms just simply because. So I can customize it of what we're working on for the student, which makes it really nice. And it's not hard. Once you get it down there, it's real easy. Oh, did I say, Eric, you there? Hello?
Yep, I'm here.
Did I mention my three things at the beginning of this one? I cannot remember.
Do it again.
I guess I did not. Okay. It's important to keep three things in mind here. I should have said this at the beginning. Is that, what are they now? Well, one thing is it's not hard, it's new. Okay. So just because it's new, it's not necessarily hard. It's just new to you. It's like a video game. The more you play it, the easier it gets because it comes more familiar. So as you're working with this stuff, it may take you a little while, but it's not hard. You can do it because all this is relatively easy. The second thing is you don't necessarily have to do everything I show you. Just try one thing. Try it for a while, get comfortable with it, then try another. Okay. One person equates it to like a dessert buffet. You don't want to do it all at once. You're going to get sick. So just do a little, get your comfort level, try something else. Let it evolve as much as you're teaching. And then the third point is that just because it's technology does not mean it's going to be quick. That's the thing that especially our administrators don't realize is, yes, we're using technology. It makes it easier, yes, but it does not mean it's going to be quicker. People think that just because I'm using the computer, yes, it's going to happen. Ta-da, you can do it in 5 minutes. No, things take time. And just be comfortable with that and realize that. It's not because you're slow. It's not because you don't know. Some things just do take time. It's just, that's what it is. I saw a clinic this summer by a beautiful clinic, which they were talking about virtual choirs. And she was presenting about that. And she said she had a 3-minute song she did with her choir. Between creating all the tracks for them to practice and passing it all out, the people to make the videos and getting back to her and compiling it all together, took 20 hours. You know, she used a lot of technology on that, but it still takes time. So don't feel bad if some of this takes time, because technology does not mean fast. It just means slightly easier, because that way you don't have to hand draw all of this. If you had to, if you had to create a new one, you want to change this rhythm right here, you want to use 16th notes or something like that, you don't have to draw every page. You just switch out the rhythm. So it can be easier, doesn't necessarily mean it's fast. So don't, keep that in mind. I have to remind my wife also. She goes, "Oh my gosh, this is taking forever." I know. Technology does not mean fast. It just means a little bit easier. Pictures, I draw the lines in within this. I've done with use something similar to this with special ed kids, is that I'll put little dots of Velcro here, and a little piece of Velcro here, and I'll put a string on it. So the string is, or get the string to stay here, and then they have to match the string to the appropriate Velcro. So that's for like my sped kids that couldn't hold a crayon very well. They could just take that the string that was hanging and just kind of drape it over here and put it on the opposing Velcro match over here, and that was going through. So this is a nice little thing that you're working on, and I'd use this for like first graders or second graders, that we're working on their instruments of just recognizing. So me saying there's a Kerwin, you can create your own signs. You don't have to buy them. there's a whole page. This is a whole size page, and I had another one like this of a page. You can go through and do that. Kerwin signs, when you're doing that, you can put it into your music. If you have finale or a notation, I put this in the lyrics. So it's just a regular font. So just like you would type in your lyrics, you can use your Kerwin signs. So that was for the kids. They were practicing. We were having a little contest that the song would speed up. So I gave them a chance to practice when they were learning their hand signs within that. So there you go. There's a way of using your Kerwin, the Kerwin of things. Recorder sheets. There's an example again of using the blank things, and they would have to go through and do that. And that's one of the things I had my recorder kids do. And up above the board and all that, I would have the answers, but that was just a way of them practicing writing the stuff in. So of using that. Being the person that I am, I like doing the opposite just to make sure they know the topic. There it is. In fact, this is the same opposite sheet of what you just saw, except this time they have the fingerings. They have to put in the notes. That's really nice. And for those of you that unfortunately that are maybe teaching beginning band, that same place, music teacher tools, they have fingering charts for that there also. So I just do this using the notes that way. We're doing time, okay. There's another sheet I created, the TAs and Ts under there. You can TT if you want. I do the TA T, the Ferrara Bend thing method going through. So you can create little worksheets like that. Simple thing going through. Boom whacker stuff. You can create your own boom whacker stuff. So I went through colors, and I'll show you how to do this. This is just using the rhythm font, changing the color. Boom. So then they can play. They know how to play. The different colors know when to play. Make it much easier within that. There's a Twinkle Twinkle. I have this on a Teacher Pay Teacher. It's one of my top selling things is that this is boom whackers, but then they can also see the melodic shape that goes along with it. Notes go up, they come down. This is the A section, the B section, but these colors coordinate with the boom whackers, so they can go through and see. You can project that up. And that's just using that rhythm font, doing different colors. All this has been done in Finale, not Finale, Publisher. Make little listening charts, listening maps, and go through and do things like that, layer things, and going through. All right, so that's the end of that. Let me go through. Let's start talking about Publisher now. Now, how this ties in to my first clinic is that when you're dealing with, while on a computer, you can have different fonts. So I can go in through here and let me get a text box. I can have all these different fonts, and you can add fonts to your computer. On Chromebooks, you cannot. It has its set ones on there. And yes, you can kind of buy some, but you can never really buy the rhythm font. So if I'm going to use that rhythm font, for example, like under the rhythms I was showing in my Chromebook thing, I have to create the images and then export them. So what I do, we're going to do that now. So I'm going to go through here, create a text box. One of the things that you'll see some of this that's familiar to Word. What makes this different than Word is you can move things around. It's not dependent on this line or anything like that. It moves independently. So I'm going to go under my fonts. There's that music education font that if I wanted to use. But I'm going to come down and I'm going to use my rhythm font. I'm going to make it bigger because it generally looks good, pretty big. I'm going to put it size 42. I want a quarter note, type Q. Want another quarter note, type Q. Want eighth notes, there we go. And let's do quarter rest. So there I have it, okay? There it is. Now this is, I just typed it in. So it moves around. So I take it, I can move around like I want. Ooh. If I want to change, now here's how I change the colors on things. I went through, highlight it, text color, red. So those that you saw my first clinic where I was talking about that, that's how I created the separate colors. Because it's a font, and you can change colors on the font. Let me turn this one blue. You can do that. Now, the way I got that into the Chromebook, highlight, right click, and this is the super important thing. This is why Publisher is so important right here. Save as picture. Comes up. I'll give it the classic name of Azza. Save. Go back into my pictures now. There it is. So I can take this now, and this is an image. This is not a text. This is text. This is the image. So now I can take it into a Chromebook, and I can put it into any of my files. In fact, let me take this. Do I keep my thing? Let's see. Yeah, here. Let me put it in here. I'm gonna put it right there. So let me go. I'm gonna insert, Image, upload from computer. Look for my eyes. Boom. So there I got it. And being an image, I can go through, I can still crop it. Now you may have this big extra stuff, but it's just real simple of just going. There you go. So that's how I got that stuff in the Chromebook, the different colors. Simple as that. You know, that's why Publisher is so important. So you can create stuff in here and do that. You can also layer. I go through and I put my programs that I create for the handouts for my programs. I do that. And in fact, the Band in the Box program that I had handout, I did in Publisher so that I can insert images and go through and do that. Publisher is just a super phenomenal program, again, that nobody uses. You can go through, draw a little box.
10 minutes remaining.
Thank you. Let me put a shape in here. Let's see what shape. Sometimes this works for me, sometimes it doesn't. So do that. I'm gonna fill it. Yellow. Get my image. Put it on top. Group them together. Oops. Group. Bring the, let's see. You send this backwards. There. So now it's behind. There we go. Now we got it. Boom. Save this picture. It should, when I come back in here. Where is it? I didn't have the thing, but it should have the background in it because you can see some of the stuff I was practicing with. You can get where the apple, the dog and the apple and all that, practicing the background. You can see these, how I was doing the objects like this. In fact, this is fun. You'll enjoy this. I had this picture of my sister and my cousin, you know, and he's like, man, you need to crop me out of that picture. So being the mischievous person I am, I cropped them out. You know, and I use Publisher to just layer. This is just from Publisher, layering it on top of it and all that. He laughed and laughed. So the images, so then you see some of the images that I've created that I were using for my stuff, for my things, images on Chromebook stuff. You can go through and do that. I took these images of going through, shrink them down and go through and do that. So Publisher is a fabulous tool that nobody uses. Now, when I'm doing the rhythm with the kids, I can use a regular sheet. Let me do a brand new one. Let's see. And the way I do the blank. So when I'm working rhythms with the kids, I go through here, scroll down. Rhythm, make it big. Let's just do this 120. All right, so and you can sit there and do that. You can make it smaller so you can get more lines about. In fact, let me make it smaller so I can do that. So let me make it about, let's say, let's do 65. Let's do that. We got that. In fact, so then I can go through and half note, half note. There we go. I'm going to convert this over. So there we go. We can count and clap this rhythm. We can go through and do that and have the kids in clap. So as we go through and practice this, so, you know, if you're doing your rhythms like that, hey, there you go. How about what if we do this? You know, and the kids are amazed that, ooh, that it just magically appears up on the board. And they have as much fun watching you create these rhythms as it is to do it. And you can just project it up there. So again, adapting to your students on the fly so you can go through it and meet the needs of your students of changing the rhythms of that way. And it goes through. This also has time signatures. Oh, I got to do the shift first. So you can do time signatures in there, you can do dies, you can do triplets. So all that, in fact, all this stuff here, all these little things like this, you can barely see, but I'm sorry. All this stuff was created using the rhythm font.
Thank you. I was trying to. So, Eric, I have a question for you.
Sure.
And for anybody else, do you guys have questions out there at this time?
Yes,
So,
please have questions.
okay, my question for you is, what has the feedback been with regards to this from your kids? So, what have your kiddos? How have they responded?
Well, since I started using like doing this for my rhythm with my kids, they've become much more engaged. Because again, like I mentioned, me typing it in while they're looking at it up live, because I didn't have an interactive board, I'd be at my computer typing it in and it would be projected up on the wall. Them just seeing it magically happen was absolutely amazing to them. They get so engrossed in when it changes. I can go through here and do this. Um, Let me get in publisher. I could do have, let's say, that rhythm, or I can go back here, it doesn't matter. Uh, and I can have another rhythm, and I can put this on red. And I can say, okay, group one, you're going to clap this one. Group two, you're going to clap this one. We have two different things going, you know. They get so engrossed with it, but they're amazed by it, by using this type of thing. The having the rhythm font became very uh, I use it so much. Let me go back to from when I go through and I create these documents. I mean, I use it so much. It's amazing how I can't imagine having to go back and handwrite all this stuff. You know, all these things here that I created for my students. And you can magically just do it quickly up there or going through. And then, like I said, with the first documents that we're doing in my first clinic, with all those documents of rhythms and stuff like that that I did for the Chromebook. I use the publisher to create these images, and then I put them up in there, you know. And it's, in fact, I have a folder on it's in my other account, in my school account, where I have just a folder of images. It's all in there, so then I can use that. Once I created that image once, I don't need to do it again. It's just it's there. I'm trying to get back to the thing.
So, Eric, I know that you've got so much that you have yet to even have shared. And so thank you so much for your time. How can other music educators across the country, how can they get in touch with you if they wanted to continue this conversation?
Oh, thank you for doing that. Let me reshare that then. Put it at the beginning page. There's my email, ejrules@gmail.com. You can go through and do that. There you go. Get in touch with me. I'd love to help you out. This is what I do. I've done this clinic several times, and I love doing it because this is the thing that people need help. And inevitably, after I do these clinics, this particular one, this seems to be the favorite. I have teachers come up and say, "Thank you. You know, this one little bit will help me out so much." And as I move on and I go to clinics, and I know a lot, I'm always looking for that golden nugget that I haven't learned, and hopefully, I've given some of those people out there today a golden nugget, something that they didn't know, but that is going to change and make their life so much easier. You know, hopefully I've done that for them. All right.
You absolutely have. And thank you so much for your wisdom. Thank you for sharing with us on this Saturday. There could have been so many other places that you could have chosen to be. But again, you're impacting lives, you're changing lives in this digital normal. And so I appreciate you. We appreciate you for this time. And this concludes this session. But guess what, guys? This also concludes TCCA 2020. And so I appreciate every single one of you from the bottom of my Aldine ISD Director of Visual Learning heart. I appreciate you guys for staying the journey and the course with us today. And so, Tashika, you got something? Come on in. Anything?
It's just one. How can they access this certain? I can put up there and down that you would.
Can you decipher that, Eric?
I don't know what that was. It was robotic. It sounded really cool.
Your
but
audio
I
went
don't
kind of crazy. Try it again.
I don't know. Try say something else. No, it went crazy. Tashika, that's okay. Because I know what they really want to hear is this super secret password. So that's what they want to know. So most importantly, you'll be receiving a certificate via email at the end of this session. And so you'll need the password to open that certificate and print it. And so the password for this session is success, because that's exactly what we've reached. We have reached success. And by the way, this is case sensitive. So it's a capital S and then lowercase u, CCESS. And so thank you for those who are viewing live. Thank you, because you've made TCCA a success. So thank you. And most importantly, Mr. Rule, you've made TCCA a great success because of what you're willing to share. Because you don't have to. You could have hoarded all your great music education wisdom and tools to yourself, but you've decided to be in your 30 years of education and molding minds and sharing. You've done that. And so we thank you for how you've taken time out yet again to share with us so that we can make this world a better place and musically rocking. So we appreciate you for all that you do. And Tashika, thank you for being an awesome co-host. And most importantly, for that digital audience. Thank you guys for supporting us. Thank you for engaging and using this conference as a platform for you to learn and grow. And so we appreciate you. Thank you guys. And stay tuned for the next TCCA because it's coming. And hopefully we'll have you guys presenting as well. Take care, guys. Thank you for today. And thank you for your attention. Bye-bye.